You ever hear a sound that doesn't belong in your timeline? For me, it was the doorbell, Tuesday, 7:43 p.m., sharp. Not the usual ding-dong of a neighbor dropping off misdelivered mail or a kid trying to sell coupon books. No, this one was decisive, like fate ringing its own bell. I had a red pen in my hand, halfway through grading a stack of sophomore essays that would make you question if Shakespeare died in vain. My wife, Monica, was in the kitchen chopping carrots like they owed her money. The metronome of the blade against the cutting board was the only rhythm we had left in our marriage by that point. I opened the door. He was young, tall, awkward. The kind of kid who looked like he still called his mom ma'am by accident. But his eyes? Too familiar. Mine, actually. "Mr. Keller?" he asked, voice cracking like a high school freshman before homeroom. "Mr. Adam Keller?" "That's me," I said. He stuck out a hand. "My name is Eli Brenner. I'm your son." Now, I've had students confess everything from cheating on tests to crashing their dad's car. But no amount of stoic teacher training prepped me for that. My wedding ring clicked against the doorknob as I gripped it tighter than I'd admit. Jessica Brenner. Sophomore year of college. A whirlwind of late-night ramen and Radiohead before we both vanished into adult life. I thought she was a footnote. Turns out, I was a prologue. I didn't believe him at first. Didn't want to. But then came the birth date, the photograph, the story of how his mother tried to reach me, but I'd already transferred out. Jessica had raised him alone. She died of cancer last year. Her last wish? That Eli find me. Monica appeared behind me, drying her hands. She took one look at the kid, then at me, and all that carrot-slicing energy turned into something colder. "Who's this?" "This is Eli," I said carefully. "He says he's my son." The dish towel hit the floor. Now, I should have seen it coming. Monica didn't scream, didn't cry. No, she went nuclear in that low, terrifying way that says, "This house is no longer yours." 30 minutes later, I was standing in a beige motel room with a complimentary breakfast coupon and a head full of broken vows. And that was just the start. The room was beige. Of course it was. 2 queen beds, 1 chair, 1 lamp, and me, sitting on the edge of it all, unraveling like a thrift store sweater. The TV flickered with canned laughter from a sitcom that felt a little too close to home. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. I stared at the motel Bible in the nightstand like it might have the answer to, how do you tell your wife the son you didn't know existed just showed up wearing your face? At 9:28 p.m., I still hadn't moved. Eli had said he was in room 214. I was down the hall in 208. I thought about going to him, knocking, saying something fatherly, like, "Do you like baseball?" or "Want to get pancakes?" But what do you offer a kid who just dropped a truth bomb on your doorstep? My phone buzzed. "Monica, please don't come back." 5 words. Final. Precise. The kind of message you get when someone's done with your voice but hasn't blocked your number, yet. I turned off the lights and laid back. No sleep, just calculations. How do you rebuild a 20-year marriage from the parking lot of a Holiday Inn Express? Spoiler, you don't. Morning came like an unpaid bill. I checked out early, grabbed a bagel I didn't eat, and walked 2 doors down. Room 214. I knocked. Eli opened it fast, like he hadn't slept either. He was wearing a hoodie that had seen better schools and worse mornings. "You came," he said. I said I would. We stood there, just breathing. 2 strangers connected by one moment in a Michigan dorm room 18 years ago and a brunette with a thing for physics majors. "Mind if I come in?" He stepped aside. His room was cleaner than mine. Neater. That said more than it should have. The kid had manners. Luggage by the door, textbooks on the desk. A picture of Jessica next to his wallet. "She told me you liked Vonnegut," he said, nodding toward a dog-eared copy of Cat's Cradle. "I did," I said. "Still do." That cracked something. We talked. Just a little. Small pieces. His favorite band. My least favorite students. We both hated mushrooms. That felt like enough. Then I asked, "Why now?" He looked at the floor. "Because I lost her. And I didn't want to lose you too." I didn't say anything. Not because I didn't have words, but because I knew none of them were big enough. I left him my number. Promised I'd call. And I meant it. But first, I had to deal with the Category 5 storm back home, Monica. The locks weren't changed. Yet. But the house felt cleared. Like someone had already begun the process of living without me. She wasn't home. Probably with her sister. Or her lawyer. I sat in the kitchen where it all exploded the night before and noticed something: 2 wine glasses in the sink. One had lipstick on the rim. A shade Monica hadn't worn since 2017. The thought came, uninvited and cold. What if I wasn't the only one with surprises? There's a particular kind of silence in a house that used to hold arguments. Not peace, more like the eerie calm after an air raid, when the walls are still standing but the foundation knows the truth. I stared at that wine glass for a solid 5 minutes. Lipstick, sure, but not Monica's shade. Not since her "I'm embracing neutrals" phase began. That color was bold, confident, someone trying to be seen. That glass screamed something I didn't want to hear. Monica came home around noon. Keys jingled. Door opened. She stepped in like it was any other day. She paused when she saw me. Then she set her purse down with surgical precision and said, "Why are you here?" I stood. "You weren't answering your phone." "Because I asked you not to come back." I gestured to the sink. "You have company last night?" She didn't flinch. Not even a twitch. "I don't think that's any of your business right now," she said. And that? That was the real earthquake. Not the sentence. The calm in her delivery. Like she'd already rewritten the rules and just hadn't sent me the memo yet. "You've got someone else," I said. She looked at me like I just realized gravity existed. It wasn't a secret. "What?" "Adam," she said, shaking her head. "You were so busy being blindsided by a son, you forgot to ask how blind you've been." I didn't yell. I didn't slam anything. I just blinked slowly. "So who is it?" Her silence was an answer. Not protection. Not shame. Just disinterest. I left. I didn't take my suitcase this time. I took a walk. A long one. Past the neighborhood where kids rode bikes in cul-de-sacs and dads mowed lawns like their lives depended on it. Past the park where we used to pretend we weren't falling apart. I walked until my knees ached. That night, I texted Eli. "You up for dinner tomorrow?" He replied in seconds. "Absolutely." It was the first time I'd smiled all day. I didn't sleep in the motel that night. I slept in the car, parked in the old grocery store lot, next to a flickering lamppost that hummed like a broken promise. That's where the plan began. Not for revenge. For answers. Because if Monica thought I was done asking questions, she'd underestimated the man who once graded 143 essays on Hamlet in a single weekend. And this time, I wasn't grading papers. I was grading truth. There's a strange thing that happens when you stop pretending. When the dust settles from denial and you finally take stock of the wreckage, it's not sadness that hits first. It's clarity. Cold, clinical, almost boring in its precision. I sat in my car, still parked under that flickering lamppost, scribbling thoughts into the back of a receipt. Monica's lipstick glass had told me more than she ever would. She'd moved on emotionally, if not yet legally. And me? I was done pretending I hadn't noticed the signs. You don't miss the smell of unfamiliar cologne on your pillow by accident. You just tell yourself it was yours from yesterday. You don't ignore the way your wife sets her phone face down unless you're trying very hard not to care. And now, well, not caring was no longer on the table. The next evening, I met Eli at a little diner on Main, Formica tables, waitresses who called everyone "Han," and fries that came in baskets, not plates. Comfort food for an uncomfortable life. He was already there when I arrived, hoodie again, headphones dangling from his neck, eyes scanning a menu like he didn't know what hunger felt like. "You order?" I asked, sliding into the booth. "Not yet," he said. "Didn't want to start without you." Something about that sentence hit me harder than it should have. We ordered burgers and milkshakes. The classics. I hadn't had a milkshake since Monica went paleo 3 years ago and declared dairy a toxin. That first sip tasted like rebellion. "You doing okay?" Eli asked. "You mean since my wife threw me out, I discovered I have an adult son, and there's probably a stranger's cologne on my bath towels?" I raised an eyebrow. Living the dream. He cracked a grin. "Yeah, you're fine. We talked. For real this time." His voice didn't shake. Mine did a little, but I kept it together. He asked about Jessica, about what she was like before him. I gave him the stories I had, the coffee dates, the music obsessions, the way she used to write on napkins instead of notebooks. His face lit up when I said that. "She still did that," he said. "I have a shoebox full." We didn't talk about Monica. I didn't want to pull him into that mess yet. It wasn't his fire to walk through. After dinner, we stood outside by my car. He hesitated, then said, "I'm glad you didn't slam the door." "Neither did you," I replied. He nodded. "Maybe we're both better than the people who walked away." That one stuck with me on the drive home. If you can even call it that. Home wasn't the house anymore. It was the place where my toothbrush no longer lived. The motel clerk greeted me by name. "Back again, Mr. Keller." Like I was a regular at Sadness. I didn't go straight to my room. I sat in the parking lot, staring at my phone. Part of me wanted to call Monica. Not to argue. Just to ask. Who was he? When did it start? Did she ever plan on telling me? Instead, I pulled up our shared calendar. She hadn't removed me yet. That was her mistake. There it was. Thursday, 7 p.m. dinner reservation. Same name she used when making plans for us, under M, not her full name. That was her way of keeping secrets on the record. Subtle. Lazy. I clicked for details. The name of the restaurant popped up. Expensive. A place with candlelight, small portions, and high-stakes conversations. I didn't plan to show up. That wasn't my move. But I did want to know who my marriage lost to. So, I parked across the street that Thursday night, dressed in my nicest shirt and oldest jeans, conflicted man couture. I didn't hide. Just watched. At 6:52, her car pulled up. She stepped out in that green dress she hadn't worn in over a year, the one she claimed made her feel too young. Guess it didn't anymore. Then came him. Tall. Tan. Confident in that smug, self-satisfied way of a man who probably said things like, "Let's circle back," in meetings and meant it. He opened the door for her. She touched his arm like they'd done this before. And just like that, I knew. I didn't recognize him as a friend, co-worker, or even a name that floated through the gossip grapevine. But I recognized the type. He was the man who waits, who sees the cracks and slides in quietly, offering jokes and compliments and "you deserve better." I didn't hate him. Not yet. But I hated that she smiled differently with him. The way her face lit up without effort. It was the smile I used to earn by making her laugh when she was sick. The one I got when I brought home daffodils for no reason. She hadn't smiled at me like that in years. I drove off before they even sat down. No drama. No confrontation. Just enough evidence to confirm what I already knew. My chapter in her story was over, and she'd already started a new one. Bold font, clean page, no footnotes. Back at the motel, I made a list. Not a revenge list. Not yet. Just facts. Monica had moved on, possibly while we were still fine. I had a son. A good one. The man she was with didn't replace me. He replaced the version of me she stopped seeing. And here's the part one didn't expect. I wasn't broken. Not really. Not yet. Because I wasn't out of moves. You don't spend 20 years managing classrooms full of hormonal chaos without learning how to stay calm in a storm. Monica may have found her new story, but I was about to write mine. And this time, I wasn't playing the fool in the background. There's a certain kind of peace that comes after heartbreak. Not the Zen kind. Not the kind they sell you in yoga brochures. No, this one's colder, clinical, like anesthesia. You don't feel better. You just stop feeling anything long enough to make plans. I woke up the next morning in the motel with one goal: clarity. Not closure. Clarity is stronger. Closure's for people looking to forgive. I was just looking to understand. Step 1. I called in a favor. My cousin, Drew, used to do background checks for a security firm. Moved into freelance work after realizing most people just wanted to know who their spouse was texting after midnight. I figured if anyone could pull a few strings discreetly, it was him. Monica Keller, I said, sipping motel coffee so bad it made Dishwater jealous. You're Monica? He asked. Didn't you guys just post anniversary photos and like? April. Apparently that was a rerun. He whistled. You want dirt or digital? Start with digital, I said. If there's dirt, we'll dig later. He didn't ask questions. Family's good like that. While Drew did his thing, I focused on Eli. The only part of this mess that made any kind of sense. I picked him up that afternoon, took him to the batting cages, because if there's one place where it's okay to hit something repeatedly without jail time, it's there. We didn't talk about Monica. We talked about curveballs. About swing timing. About how Vonnegut would probably hate modern movies but secretly love TikTok. Do you hate her? Eli asked eventually, while pulling off his helmet. Which one? I said. Your mom or Monica? He hesitated. Both. No, I said. One's gone. The other just left without packing. He didn't say anything after that, but he nodded. Like he understood. By the time I dropped him off, I had a text from Drew. Got something. Want me to call? I drove back to the motel, heart thumping not from nerves. From focus. From the anticipation of knowing exactly what I was about to deal with. Drew called the second I walked in. Okay, he started, voice low like we were doing something illegal, which, to be fair, we kind of were. Her guy's name is Russell Avery. Real estate agent. Divorced. No kids. 2 DUI arrests, nothing recent. Got sued once for breach of contract. Settled out of court. I sat down. Go on. He's been seeing Monica for at least 7 months. Probably longer. Credit card records show shared bookings at a resort in Asheville. He paid once, she paid the next. Pattern started last fall. 7 months. That meant while I was planning our anniversary dinner, she was planning her escape route. Anything else? I asked, jaw clenched. Just one thing. She transferred 10 grand from your joint account to a new private one. About 2 weeks before the kids showed up. That made me stop. 10 grand. Moved before Eli. Before the doorbell rang. Before anything exploded. It wasn't just cheating. It was preparation. You good? Drew asked. I swallowed hard. Yeah. I just didn't realize how far back the rot started. You want me to keep digging? No, I said. Thanks. I've got enough. I sat in silence after that. Not because I didn't know what to do next, but because I knew exactly what to do. Friday morning, I showed up at the house. Our house. Well, her house now. She was surprised to see me. Opened the door with a half frown, half smirk like she couldn't decide if she should pity me or brace for impact. What do you want, Adam? 5 minutes, I said. That's it. She didn't move. But she didn't close the door either. Fine, she said, stepping aside. The house looked the same, but it smelled different. Like lavender and lemon. Not her usual scent. His, maybe. His cleaning habits? I didn't ask. I stood in the living room and looked around like I was checking out of a hotel I'd overstayed in. You could have told me, I said. Told you what? That you were gone. That you stopped being here before Eli ever showed up. She crossed her arms. And what would that have changed? Everything. No, she said. It wouldn't have. You still would have left. And I still would have let you. That part? That was honest. Brutally so. And maybe that was the point. I'm not here to fight, I said. I just want you to know. I know about Russell. I know how long it's been. I know about the money. Her jaw tightened. Her body stilled. I'm not going to take you to court, I said. But I am taking my name off everything. The house. The accounts. Even the dog's vet records if I have to. I figured as much. I'm not angry, I added. Just awake. She blinked. For the first time since all this began, she actually looked unsure. I walked to the door, hand on the knob. One last thing. What? You moved on, I said. So did I. You just don't recognize it yet. Then I left. And just like that, the man who used to fold her laundry and clip her basil was gone. Back at the motel, I opened a new file on my laptop. A document titled simply, Reconstruction. It started with 3 bullet points. Find an apartment with a door that doesn't swing both ways. Buy Eli a decent pair of batting gloves. Leave no forwarding address. The rest would write itself. There's something oddly satisfying about packing up your life into boxes that don't belong to you. Not the sentimental stuff that stays burned into your skull whether you want it or not. I'm talking about the boring bits. Tax documents, cables you're not sure fit anything anymore. That mug from a conference in '09 that says synergy happens. It doesn't sting. It clears space. I'd found a 1-bedroom apartment in the older part of town. Brick walls, squeaky floors, windows that open too far if you're not careful, perfect. The kind of place that doesn't pretend to be anything it's not. Unlike some people I knew. The landlord didn't ask why I was moving in solo, didn't blink when I handed over the deposit in cash. The only thing he said was, quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., but the walls don't listen. I respected that. It took me 1 trip to move everything I owned. Not because I'm a minimalist, because once you subtract everything tied to Monica, what's left fits in the back of a sedan and still leaves room for a sad snack run. I unpacked like it was a checklist. Towels, toothbrush, books. Coffee maker before bed because priorities are priorities. I didn't decorate. I didn't hang anything up. I wasn't there to nest. I was there to rebuild. Like a contractor stepping into a burned-down house, clipboard in one hand, blueprint in the other. Step 1, stability. I got back into my routine. Teaching. Grading. Grabbing takeout that tasted like paper but didn't ask questions. The students didn't notice anything different about me, which I took as a win. If a teenager can't sense your world's on fire, you're doing a good job hiding the smoke. Eli and I kept meeting. Once a week turned into twice. Then a habit. Then something else entirely, a bond. I brought him to a Tigers game. Not because we were both huge baseball fans, but because sitting in a stadium next to someone you just met and realizing you're not strangers anymore, that's a hell of a feeling. He didn't call me Dad. He didn't have to. One night, After the game, we were driving back through the dark, radio low, windows cracked just enough to let in the breeze. He said, "You ever wonder if she knew what she had?" "Who?" I asked. "Monica." I didn't answer right away. Took a left turn, watched the traffic light flicker amber. "She knew," I finally said. "She just didn't want it anymore." He nodded. "That's worse, huh?" "Yeah," I said. "It really is." Then came the email. It arrived midweek, buried between junk mail and a student apology for forgetting a due date. Subject line, "Closure." From Monica. The word already felt like a trick. I clicked it. "Adam, I've been thinking a lot about how everything ended. I realize I never gave you the honesty you deserved. I won't excuse it, but I want to explain it. If you'd be open to meeting, I think we owe each other that much. Just one conversation. No lawyers. No drama. Just two people tying off loose ends." M. She used a dash instead of love. That told me everything. I stared at the screen, then at the clock, then back at the screen. It's amazing how long 5 sentences can echo. I didn't respond right away. I let it sit for 2 days. Then I sent one line. "Fine. 1 hour. Neutral ground. My terms." She agreed. Friday, 5 p.m. That same cafe we used to go to before we stopped talking about real things. I showed up early. She didn't. Of course. She arrived 7 minutes late, Monica time, and smiled like it still worked on me. It didn't. She sat. No hug. No handshake. Just folded hands and a face that had rehearsed this moment in a mirror somewhere. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I'm not here for closure," I said. "I'm here because you asked." She blinked. The smile dipped. "Okay." We talked. Well, she talked. About how things got stale. How she felt unseen. How she didn't cheat. Not really, because things were already over emotionally. That's a favorite line of people who don't want to be called liars. Emotionally over. Like infidelity starts on paper. I didn't argue. Didn't interrupt. She said she never meant to hurt me. Said Russell wasn't the plan. He was the accident that made her realize how numb she'd gotten. And then she said the part I'll never forget. "You stopped asking how I was feeling." I let that sit. Then I nodded. "You're right," I said. "I stopped asking when you started lying." Silence. Then she looked down. I needed something more." "You did," I said. "And now you have it." She looked up. "Do you hate me?" I took a sip of coffee. Lukewarm. Bitter. "No," I said. "I just don't believe in you anymore." She didn't cry. Monica never cried. But something in her eyes cracked. The performance slipped. Not a lot. Just enough. We stood at the same time. No hug. No second goodbye. And that, finally, was closure. Back at my apartment, I opened a new document on my laptop. The file where I'd been keeping thoughts. Lessons. Observations. I titled this one, "What's Left After the Fire?" And I wrote, "When someone walks away, let them. The ones worth keeping never need the door held open." Then I saved it, closed the lid, and went to bed. Alone, but not empty. The next morning was quiet. Not the kind of quiet you fill with background noise or overcooked eggs. This was a cleaner silence. A fresh start kind of quiet. The kind that didn't carry Monica's perfume or Eli's questions. Just me, sunlight, and the realization that for the first time in 20 years, my life didn't belong to anyone else. It didn't feel like freedom. It felt like aftershave on a fresh cut. Sharp. Sober. Slightly chemical. I poured coffee into a mug I bought for $2.99 at a gas station, the one with a flamingo that said, "Wish you were beer." It was the ugliest thing I owned, and I loved it like a punchline. Because now, every possession had been reduced to 2 categories, functional and mine. At school, I returned to the classroom like a man returning to a train already in motion. My students hadn't noticed the shift. They still rolled their eyes at Shakespeare, still asked for deadline extensions like it was their birthright. I appreciated the consistency. That afternoon, after final bell, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Mr. Keller?" the voice said. Soft. Female. "This is June Avery." I froze mid-step. "Avery. As in Russell Avery." "Yes," I said, careful. "I know this is strange," she said. "But I think we need to talk." We met at a small bakery on the edge of downtown. Neutral territory, again. I spotted her immediately, elegant in that exhausted way only people in expensive divorces seem to master. Her hair was pulled back, neat. Her eyes were not. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, gesturing for me to sit. Let's not do the thank you dance, I said. Just tell me what's going on. She took a breath, then pulled out a small envelope. This is for you, she said, sliding it across. Inside? Photos. Not grainy. Not ambiguous. Crisp, high-res shots of Monica and Russell, hugging at parking garages, entering hotels, standing a little too close during a business trip. A whole album of inconvenient truths. Why now? I asked, flipping the last photo over. Because you deserve to know, she said. And because I'm tired of pretending I didn't see what I saw. She sipped her tea. Russell and I split 6 months ago. I thought it was amicable. Then I found a receipt in his glove box for a necklace. Monica's name on the gift tag. I blinked. Monica doesn't wear jewelry. She smiled small, bitter. She does now. I didn't ask how she got the pictures. Didn't need to. Betrayal creates better detectives than the FBI. Are you planning something? She asked, cautious now. I shrugged. Not revenge, if that's what you're worried about. But something. Always. She nodded. Slid me her number. If you ever want to compare notes. We parted with a handshake. Not friendship. Not alliance. Just a shared understanding that sometimes the people you once loved treat loyalty like a coat, something they shrug off when it gets warm. That night, I printed the photos. Not for me. For Monica. She'd said she wanted closure. Fine. Here it was. Laminated. I slipped them into an envelope, wrote her name on the front in clean, teacher-perfect cursive. No note. No message. Just truth, delivered by hand. Dropped it in her mailbox on my way back from the store. Let her find it during a normal Tuesday. Let it ruin her dinner plans. Afterward, I didn't feel powerful or righteous. Just clean. Like finally scrubbing the last smear of her from the corners of my life. Eli called the next morning. She texted me, he said. I didn't have to ask who. What did she say? That I shouldn't trust you. That you're trying to manipulate me into choosing sides. I exhaled slowly. And I told her I'm not choosing sides, he said. I'm choosing facts. I smiled, just a little. Good man. We made plans for that weekend. Mini golf, burgers, something light. I didn't want to talk about Monica anymore. I wanted to live past her. By Sunday, I started sketching a book. Not a tell-all. Not a memoir. Something fiction, but not really. A story about a man who builds a life so neatly that when it breaks, the pieces form a map. I didn't have a title yet. Just a first line. The thing about loyalty is, it's only beautiful until it's not returned. I didn't hear from Monica for a while. Then, late Thursday, my phone lit up. Voicemail. Adam, her voice crackled. I saw what you left me. I hope you're happy. I don't know what you think you proved. We're done. We've been done. You didn't need to send evidence. There was a pause. But since we're being honest now, Russell and I are getting engaged. Click. I stared at the screen for a second, then tapped delete. That was her final act. Her grand closing curtain. Except this time, no one was clapping. Later that night, I went out to the lake. Just me and a cheap lawn chair, a gas station beer in hand. The water was calm. Stars overhead. My phone stayed in the glove compartment. No more Monica. No more lies. No more ghosts pretending to love me while auditioning for their next role. Just me, the night, and the quiet kind of peace that only comes when you've walked through fire and realized your skin still holds. In the days after Monica's voicemail, silence settled over my world like a heavy blanket. But this time, I didn't resent it. I found solace in it. Out of the rubble, I began to build again. My mornings fell into a rhythm. Coffee, emails, grading, and writing. The apartment transformed from a place of refuge into one of possibility. I pinned up pages of my manuscript on the corkboard. Notes, chapter breaks, rough dialogue. This wasn't about revenge. It was about rebirth. Eli and I kept our weekend routine. No mention of moms or broken homes. Just two people were learning how to laugh. Playing mini golf under neon lights, chasing ice cream vans, talking about college dreams and memoir ideas. He asked about the book, and I pulled a notebook from my desk. Lucas, I said. That's the name of the character. He taught English in a small town. Lost everything. Found himself in the aftermath. He nodded. Sounds like you. I smiled. Maybe. One evening, as I was closing up the bookstore, I teach evenings at a community college and sell books part-time, I found a card slid under my door. No stamp. No signature. Just a single line in perfect cursive. I underestimated you. That was all she'd left. Her pride, still dressing up as apology. A few weeks later, I received a text from June Avery asking if we could meet again. She said she had more information, something big. I agreed, knowing that this time, I wasn't seeking validation. I was closing lines. June and I met at a park. She handed over a flash drive. Inside, everything I have on Russell is real estate deals, shady transactions, evidence of manipulation. I nodded. Why help? She looked tired. He hurt me too, and he hurt others. I want to stop it. She wasn't asking for revenge. She was offering justice. I plugged the drive into my laptop that night. There were contracts, bank records, property disputes, all pointing to one thing. Russell had a pattern. He targeted women in vulnerable marriages, offered emotional rescue, then financial control. Monica was just one in a trail of broken partners. The evidence was enough to start a case. But I didn't forward it to Monica. I forwarded it to the attorney handling her divorce. Let their court do the talking. For the first time, I felt relief, not because I'd orchestrated a takedown, but because truth had a way of waking the world. That weekend, Eli and I rented a canoe and paddled onto the lake. Sunlight gleamed off the water. We talked about college visits and books he wanted to read. He still had questions about his mom, but we were learning together how to cope without carrying old baggage. I realized something. Revenge ends at destruction. Justice? That builds reputation anew. With summer in the air, the book draft took shape. I typed the E&D on a story about Lucas, who after losing everything, rebuilds by helping another lost soul, his son. Fiction, yes, but bloodline truth. The manuscript landed in my agent's hands. I prepared a proposal, not a revenge memoir, not a breakup diary, but a story about healing, resilience, and reclaiming self-worth. I wanted readers to see what's possible when the person you trusted walks away and you stay. Around that time, I received an email from a publishing coach I met at a writer's conference. She praised the tone, the honesty, told me Lucas's journey rang universal and unguarded. That was enough to light the next spark. Eli graduates high school that June. I told him he's invited to every milestone, football games, first dorm visit, future book signings. And yes, the book would include a dedication for Eli, with pride in every page. One evening at a beachfront cafe, I scrolled through social media, no Monica posts, no Russell updates. Instead, friends and former students tagged me in graduation announcements, book quotes, and family reunions. I recognized something. Life moves forward, and those who loved me didn't stop. June and I stayed in touch as allies, not friends. She sent updates. She's teaching self-defense workshops for women. She said I could use her name in the acknowledgments. I will.